There were legal flaws in the extradition process. Australia's former Attorney General approved the extradition last year. The current AG has not reviewed the decision. Duggan denies the allegations. He's been held in a maximum security prison since his 2022 arrest. Rich Thomason, Washington.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce is suing the Trump administration for imposing a $100,000 annual fee for those new H-1B visa applications, claiming that the fee itself is unlawful and that it would place an unfair burden on businesses. More from townhall.com. President Trump hosting Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky once again today. It is our third sit-down so far this year at the White House to talk about the ongoing war. The stock market is steadying, at least for now. The S&P 500 edged down by just a bit in early trading, but it's already back up. And the world's largest maritime nations are deliberating on their regulations in the movement toward shipping industry away from fossil fuels and toward more green energy sources. President Trump and others have vowed to fight any global tax on shipping emissions, fearing it could damage the U.S. and global economy. On Thursday, the president urged countries to vote no on the proposed new regulations. Representatives from the U.S., Saudi Arabia, and Russia are all against the current form of those regulations, and the International Maritime Organization is meeting in London. You'll find more on all these stories at townhall.com.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
I would not want to live in New York City, but it can be a fun place to visit, or was before the leftist woke agenda took place. Of course, you could plan a family trip to New York and have no issues. Or you could get stabbed or shot while walking the streets or on the subway. No sane parent would expose their children to such danger. I don't see it getting any better. Last week, a 64-year-old church leader was beaten to death. The accused attacker is 25, and when arrested, he had a 20-inch sword. Already facing trial on stabbing someone else. In fact, he's been arrested more than 30 times. Mondani, the man who would be the next New York City mayor, was being asked, why is this guy on the streets? Mondani quickly pivoted into, well, many criminals have mental health issues, but the reporter pointed out, when arrested, he was given a bail he couldn't pay, so they lowered it so he could be on the streets. Why? Mondani started the leftist dance. We have systemic health issues, blah, 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 blah. But I think it's going to be a long time before I consider it safe enough to visit New York City.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Cooking a pizza using coal, that's creating an amazing pizza. Only one place to get it, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the district at Chesterfield. Try it. You can thank me later. Also, don't forget that Lit Cigar Lounge is just a few doors away. Top-of-the-line cigars and whiskeys. TVs in every direction. Watch your sports while enjoying your drink and smoke. LitSTL.com. John Beal knows it right after a hailstorm. New roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Live and local.
Welcome home. And whoosh, sitting in traffic, stuck in a jam, and being entertained by Vic and Thunder Stealing Ken.
This is News Talk STL. News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose. Let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a happy fancy Friday, my friends. Wow, look at us. We made it here. Aw. Hey, let me tell you something. Well, part of the delay of getting in here, I had to run back out to my car because I had to run back because I figured I needed a visual to be able to tell you that if you don't do anything this weekend, are you gonna go pick some pumpkins? Actually, you can. It's sort of. I remember taking the little kids to go, and we would go pumpkin to the pumpkin patch, and it'd be like the Dust Bowl in the pumpkin patch because it's always so hot. Everybody thinks this is such unusual weather. No, I remember. Apple picking and pumpkin picking happen in 80-degree weather most of the time. I'm just telling you. So I remember going out to Eckert's or whatever it was, and it was like a friggin' Dust Bowl out there. Crazy. So anyway, if you don't do anything this weekend, if you just lay around, whatever, just make sure one of your destinations, though, is the Smokehouse Market right near Annie Gunn's. Because, I got to turn these lights down a little bit. It's too bright in here. I feel like Katie Porter. Stop standing in my shot. There we go. Oh, that's more pleasant. Thank you, Ashlyn. Ashlyn is all full service. By the way, speaking of that, I meant to follow up on something yesterday when I admonished Mark Kaysen for mistreating Ashlyn by not being nice. I actually followed up with him because I was like, dude, are you one of those guys? Have you ever been out to dinner or lunch with somebody? And I'm not comparing Ashlyn to a waitress, okay, or a server. I'm not doing that. But I'm just saying that people who treat people like they're below them, and I'll tell you that is such a turnoff to me when I'm with somebody. I used to know some folks, when I worked at the other radio station, you go out to lunch and you'd be embarrassed because they were so snippy with the people who work at the restaurant. Don't say, when someone pours you a glass of water, you ought to say thank you. You know what I mean? Or when somebody brings your food or whatever, you say thank you. It's like, I don't understand people who don't do that. I'm not trying to be all judgy and everything, but I thought I pegged Mark as the kind of guy who came in and kind of everybody else that wasn't important to him was kind of like a minion of sorts. I don't mean to talk behind his back while he's not here, but I'm talking behind his back when he's not here. Anyway, on to the Smokehouse. So I was there. I ran into my friend Tracy, who's an accountant over there, and my old friend Eve Perlmutter, who is a bartender there. She's been a bartender there forever, and she and I grew up together. So we went to high school together. She was friends with my girlfriend. I wasn't ever sure whether Eve was like approving of me or not. I didn't know. But anyway, fast forward to now, and we are just great friends, and she's a great person. But anyway, dropped by there, had a drink, and then I went into the smokehouse, and it's a great place. It smells really good. It smells so wonderful. And then now I can't remember her name. It's not that people aren't significant. She was a friend of Tracy, and she's just like, hey, you want a bag of beef jerky? And I forgot her name because I'm making her some pepper oil. But anyway, so I go, sure, because I love beef jerky. And I'm telling you what, this Smokehouse Market beef jerky is really super good. It's better than any other jerky I've ever tasted. It's because it's not like the jerky when you put it in your mouth, it's like really good. I feel like I could make a sandwich out of this. Can you make beef jerky sandwiches? Well, they would probably be kind of hard because it'd be hard to chew, but these wouldn't be hard to chew. That's why I'm saying you could make a sandwich out of this stuff. Anyway, you need to go by there. It's a wonderful place, and they've been there since 1937. I mean, that's just amazing. And people who own it are amazing, and just people who work there are incredible. And that's my Fancy Friday story of the day. Just make sure you drop by that place. Okay, so Don Lemon keeps on giving us these amazing gifts just by opening his mouth. And he doesn't even realize that he is giving us these gifts. So I've played you over the past couple of weeks. I have played you a couple of sound bites from his man on the street interviews that he does. One time he was with a black dude in New York or something, and the dude was just absolutely so supportive of all the ICE raids and all that kind of stuff, and the deportations and things like that. He really loved that. He's a black dude. He was like, I'm tired of being a second-class citizen, which is something I always said. And of course, he interviews these Hispanic people in Chicago, and they're like, yeah, we support them too. We're against illegal aliens. And then he tried to push this over that, well, it's not a crime, it's a misdemeanor, which makes you sound like the dumbest bag of hair on the planet when you say that. But Don Lemon keeps repeating it over and over again. And not to mention the time when he talked to a black guy about racism, and the black dude's like, I just went to a NASCAR Cup race, and I was like the only black guy there, and I didn't feel uncomfortable in the slightest. It didn't bother me one little bit. And he questioned whether or not all this racism that these babies like Hakeem Jeffries, you know what the real problem is? I talk about white liberal males. Black liberal men are also super annoying because they're such pansies, because they whine all the time about how oppressed they are and all this kind of stuff. And it's really annoying. Dudes, you realize what a turnoff you are when you do that? Like what do you think the women around you feel like when you're some black dude running around acting like your life is so hard? Yeah, try having a baby, dude. I mean, you know what I mean? But yeah, white liberal males are no different. But maybe it's just liberal males. Maybe that's the problem in this country, when they're not killing somebody or shooting somebody or lighting fires or beating their wives or what have you, or standing by having margaritas with illegal aliens. You know, maybe that's the problem. Maybe we have identified the problem. It doesn't matter what race they are. The liberal male is a cancer on society. Although, some of them are. Like, I have brothers who are liberals, and I don't think that they're like that. So there must be other good people out there too. But anyway, this one is fabulous. This one video from Don Lemon, because a lot of people are playing the soundbite because they're like, look at him, he's threatening ICE, and he wants people to arm up and threaten ICE. No, I actually love that he did this. And the reason I love that he did this is because he explained exactly what I have always explained, what the Second Amendment is for, or was designed to do. And a lot of people don't like to talk this way because they think it is a call for revolution or what have you. And by the way, Zelensky's at the White House again. I hope he's not asking for another check. He's such a corrupt, baggy, authoritarian baby. Talk about whiny babies. Zelensky's one of those. Anyway, so I've always said that the Second Amendment isn't there so that we're free to hunt. And it's not even there so that we're free to shoot somebody who invades our house. It's there so that we have an ability to fight a tyrannical government. And it's hard to get people to say that because they don't want to say it because it sounds all revolutionary and everything. But that is precisely what it is. So when Don Lemon makes this argument, which I, of course, disagree with and can refute, about people needing to arm up in the event that ICE comes, he's actually also talking about the Second Amendment, which actually reaffirms our Second Amendment rights. This is a guy who wants to take guns away from people the minute there's a mass shooting. And now he can't make that argument at all, ever again. He makes actually, in the definition, how he defines the Second Amendment, he makes the conservative argument, whether he's misusing it, but he makes it. Maybe I should shut my mouth and let you hear Don Lemon, which is, I know that's what you're saying in your cars right now. God, Allman, shut up for a second and let's hear what Don Lemon has to say. Okay, I'll let you hear what Don Lemon has to say.
People, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally, get a license to carry legally. Because when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away without due process as a citizen, isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for? Go back and read what the Second Amendment says.
Now, before I get to that, I don't know why you gotta put like ghetto beats in the background of your videos, but whatever. Of course, he's wrong. It's not just people coming to your door. These are federally licensed, deputized, employed law enforcement agencies enforcing the law in arresting people who have committed a crime, which is illegal entry into the United States. Oftentimes, they are committing even more crimes than just illegally entering the United States. So on top of that, so what he's saying in concept regarding, well, these are just people coming to your door, he's encouraging them to obviously take up arms against federal law enforcement officers. I mean, this is the same guy who wanted J6ers to be in prison forever. This guy's a mess. Don Lemon is a mess. He's kind of like, we call him the idiot whisperer. He's the one who has the idiots as all of his people. But nonetheless, when he talks about the Second Amendment, this is where we win. This is where Don Lemon, the supposed liberal standard bearer, confirms the necessary nature of the Second Amendment. And he doesn't even realize it. That's the thing. Don Lemon never realizes what he's doing. I mean, he never realizes what he's doing, and he's telling us things with a straight face, and we're like, right on, man. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for erasing decades of the liberal argument against guns. He did that.
Was written for. Go back and read what the Second Amendment says. And perhaps it will knock some sense in the heads of these people who are saying, well, it's all great. I don't believe they're doing it without due process. They're asking people for papers. They're not really beating people up. These people are doing things that are illegal. Nobody is illegal. It is a misdemeanor.
So, God, poor Don. I don't know what he has in his mouth or something in his mouth. But anyway, he actually go back and read the Second Amendment. Like, that's what we've been telling liberals to do for God knows how long. Go back and read the Second Amendment and why we have the right to bear arms and why it is a gift from God, and why our Constitution defends our gift from God, the right to bear arms, the right to be able to rise up against a tyrannical government. Thank you, Don. I'm serious. Thank you so much. As wrong as you are about the circumstances regarding all this, again, you have to understand the historical significance of what the most loudmouth liberal on the planet just said. And he made the argument for the Second Amendment, if you can believe that, because these guys have been making the argument against it for decades now, based on it having exceptions and being useless, and the militia thing's a bunch of crap and all that stuff. But Don Lemon decided to reaffirm whatever we're doing. So makes me want to play ABBA. Makes me so happy. I'm going to play ABBA. I hardly ever listen to ABBA on my own. Just came up in the A's as I was trying to find something to play, because I didn't prepare, because I was out at my car getting beef jerky. That's why. Maybe if you just kind of manage your time better, Jamie. Oh, yeah. Okay. So they told me that in third grade. And fourth grade and fifth grade, sixth grade and seventh grade, and eighth grade and ninth, and 10th, 11th, and 12th. Then I went to college, and they kept telling me that. Maybe you should manage your time better, Jamie. Then I got a job, and the boss always said, Jamie, maybe you ought to manage your time better. So, story of my life. But it's a fancy Friday, and I shall care not. Hello, everybody. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about so I'm very sorry. I'm just emotionally choked up because of the beef jerky that was in my mouth. Anyway, let me tell you something about Newsteader's Fine Jewelry, and let me tell you something about how wonderful this family is. Let me tell you about how it says God is welcome here above the door. How many establishments do you know, even if they do actually believe that, how many of establishments do you know they actually do that? Like, they're very open about their belief in the Lord Jesus Christ and about their faith and about their love of God. And it's not to lure people in, because, you know, in this day and age, you could turn just as many people away, it seems, sadly enough. But anyway, they're out there. You walk in, and it is wonderful. I always have so many wonderful conversations with Richard, who is a deeply faithful man, and he is an old school jeweler. He's an actual jeweler. These aren't salespeople; they're jewelers. And Richard goes all the way back to the world famous Jacquard's Jewelry there in downtown St. Louis. And 17 years old, he was there. Family-run operation for decades now. Diana is also there. It's his daughter. Jackie, of course, his wife. Cindy's there. She's wonderful. Anna, she's the first person you see when you walk in the door. She's almost like the angel of jewelry. You know, she just smiles at you and everything else. Diana will walk you through a ton of stuff. She showed me these stacker rings last time we were there, and she knows. She's very, very up to speed on what's cool and what's not, what's in, what's out, what the favorite things are, what turns people, you know, into just jewelry wearing, loving people. And the stacker rings are just like that. They're very thin rings. You can buy them in, you know, threes or whatever, and mix and match them. All kinds of different gems you can put in them. And then, of course, don't forget about the diamonds. These are lab grown and mined diamonds. Don't forget about the watches. Don't forget about the layaway plan, the Bulova watches, the layaway plan, the wish list. It's all there, and you are welcome there. just as much as God is. Right there at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend, it is wowdiamonds.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Hey, it's Vic. If you have a tree that you think is dead, you can get Roots Plus to remove it for you. Or if you think the tree is savable, or if Roots Plus thinks it's savable, they can save your tree and you keep your cash. Call them and find out what that's all about at 314-440-3662. The crews are great. They get things done. They removed the tree for me and they did expert work, and I definitely will put my name on their company. So save the tree with Roots Plus LLC. RootsPlusLLC.com.
Yes, I was talking to somebody last night about working with the Wallner team, Rodney and Jen Wallner and the Wallner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, the top selling team in the Berkshire Hathaway sphere. They're so good at what they do. When you list your home for sale with Rodney and Jen, they create this demand, this fight over your house. They work so hard to make sure that you are super, super happy, that your home is presented in the best light possible, that your home, they do drone pictures, they pull out all the stops. They spend money to market your home. That's really what it takes as a listing person. And so you're going to really appreciate all that they do for you. And then they'll get that top price for you at the lowest commission rate you're going to find anywhere. And I do a lot of buyer's agent type of stuff. In fact, I'm working on a home right now that we're going to get some people into that we looked at. And so I will represent them. I will present an offer to the seller. I will fight for my buyers. I will fight for that offer. I will negotiate all kinds of stuff if I have to. And so we work really super hard for you. So you can't go wrong with the Wallner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway. 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic rights and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion.
Well, little Benny and the Jets just came on magically. I was too busy messaging and talking about things and preparing a wonderful show for you. Ongoing. And this just happened. It just skipped from this from ABBA. I don't know how that happened, but I'm not going to fight it. I've thought about maybe picking a different song in midstream because, but then that would require me to turn off Benny and the Jets, which would be an unforgivable sin because you will have then rejected a song that was on quite possibly one of the best double albums ever. Although I know there are a lot of them, but Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. So I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care. I'm just going to do this because that's just what I kind of intended to do. So sorry, I just bailed on Elton John.
If she wants to dance and drink all night, well, there's no one that can stop.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is a fancy Friday. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, Ashlyn over there. Did you guys hear about this? Well, you kind of heard about it a while back, right? Because it made all the news. But when Jewish people get attacked and Israelis get attacked, like it might be mentioned a little bit, and then it goes away. because most of the world hates Jewish people and Israelis, and a majority of Muslims hate Jewish people and Israelis, and the news media hates Jewish people and Israelis, and although that's a little self-loathing if you ask me, but that's just how they are. So Israelis cannot actually, it's kind of like when black people say black people can't be racist. It's kind of like, well, yeah, you can. And a lot of people believe that Jewish people can't ever be victims. And really it's because they're white. I mean, let's face it. I don't mean to get all racially, but that's kind of a common theme here. It seems like it's kind of developing here this morning or this afternoon because, like for instance, Jay Jones, the attorney general candidate in Virginia, who made those terrible comments promoting murdering a colleague. If he were white, he'd be out by now. He would have been roundly criticized and mauled and everything else. So he would have been out if he were white. But he's black, so he's got that protection from the news media and from Hakeem Jeffries, who says that, well, his apology was enough. It's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, it's just the way it is. But anyway, as it relates to Jewish people, like they cannot be victims. You could massacre 1,100 of them in one day. And by the end of the day, the conversation is, well, I hope there's not a backlash against Islam. Authorities are on the lookout for Islamophobia in the wake of the massacre of 1,100 Jewish people. I'm not kidding you. That's how it worked out. Right? Yeah, I'm right. So, but I'm laughing I'm just laughing because it's so silly, and it's just kind of funny watching people pretend that what I just said isn't true. And we know it's true. I mean, after that massacre on October 7th, literally 2 days later, there were people in the streets with Palestinian flags, demonstrating on behalf of Palestinians and Hamas, like they were the victims. It was the craziest darn thing. And when you think of what's happening in this modern day, as enlightened as we are, it's no wonder the Holocaust happened right under everybody's noses, because it was happening under everybody's noses. They knew it and looked the other way. And the Germans, who were like, we're just following orders. Like, no, you're not following orders. What you truly believed was that Jewish people were ruining the ethnicity of Germany, and were also money changers, all that stuff. You believe that. Most of the Germans did. And to deny it is, we don't believe you. But it's no wonder that the Holocaust happened. When you look at it's 2025. By now, we should know better, because we have seen the persecution of Jewish people and the Holocaust, which was absolutely one of the most diabolical occurrences in history, if not the most diabolical occurrence in history. And so it's 20. We should be amazingly enlightened and very sensitive to the persecution of Jewish people, and yet we're not. It's amazing to me. We had this thing happen in St. Louis where the cars of I know the family of a person who just returned from serving in the IDF. He's a Jewish guy, lives in Clayton. Somebody came and burned the cars of the family. And I think even had some graffiti and stuff like that there. It was a story for like a day. And even people like the awful Rabbi Susan Talvi and all these Reform Jewish congregations, you didn't see one of them stepping up. You saw a couple of rabbis come forward, and even I think the Defense League, but for the most part, you didn't see like, for instance, I remember Rabbi Talvi and her gang. The minute COVID came, trying to warn us about discrimination towards Asians because it was linked to China. She had a whole group of people on the stairs there. One of her own people, as her car burned, there's not a peep from Rabbi Susan Talvi. So between the fact that even some Jewish people hate Jews, and coupled with a large majority of the world that hates them, even now, it's incredible. And then October 7th happened, another massacre that reminded everybody of the Holocaust. And 2 days later, the Biden administration's Justice Department is on the lookout for occurrences of Islamophobia. It's unbelievable. So if we can't shake this disinterest in the lives of Jewish people and Israelis in 2025, it's no wonder that in 1943 and beyond, 6 million of them were massacred. And believe me, here in the United States, the Kennedy family that apparently is like the standard bearer for the country. Even though, never mind that one of them drowned his girlfriend in a creek, but oh well, who's counting? But there's supposed to be this story thing. Joe Kennedy was an awful human being. Not only was he a bootlegger, which I don't really mind. It's a 3-martini lunch, and bootlegging's okay with me and that thing. Have a still in your backyard. I don't care. But he was against our involvement in World War II. He didn't want to get involved. These guys were a lot of them were Hitler apologists. So anyway, this is a long way to go for this story, which is really bad. You guys remember, this was in Amsterdam. This was after a soccer match between the Israeli soccer club and a Dutch team in Amsterdam. And a violent mob of Muslim migrants wound up chasing the Israeli soccer fans.
Tonight, a violent and hate-fueled attack on Israeli soccer fans in Amsterdam. The mayor saying it was at the hands of anti-Semitic hit-and-run squads.
I got a punch in my face, in my lip. It was organized.
It happened in the hours after a game between Maccabi Tel Aviv and Ajax as fans poured out of the train station in the center of the city, including Edo Gold.
We saw a huge crowd, hundreds of people running in towards us, shouting Juden, Juden. That means Jews.
That's what our children!
Yeah, so this is pretty bad. I mean, they were literally just minding their own business, Israeli soccer fans. The Muslim activists knew that the Israeli soccer fans were going to be there, and they organized an attack on them post-game.
Israeli embassy in Washington says this video shows an Israeli fan being ambushed, though it's not been independently verified by NBC News. Dutch officials say people on scooters actively sought out Israelis to attack, punching and kicking them.
I'm ashamed that this happened in the Netherlands.
Yeah, okay, so you're not going to believe this, but the Israeli soccer team, Tel Aviv Soccer Club, is going to play their match this year in Birmingham, England. And what do you think the UK's response to the possibility of violence against the Israeli soccer fans is? Yeah, you got it. The British and the Europe League are all saying that Israeli soccer fans will not be allowed to attend the game. And they won't be allowed to attend the game because they want to make sure there's not another anti-Semitic incident. Can you believe this? So they are essentially blaming the Jews for the attacks on them. And instead of pledging that they will be protected, this is the United Kingdom, because that Dutch guy was ashamed of it, right? So you think if it happened again, if they had another game there, you're damn sure the Dutch police would be on the lookout. But but because the UK, which ultimately will be overrun by subhuman migrants who don't care about that country and who are very angry people. But if the UK goes under, I really don't care. I mean, after all, we didn't like them. So, but this situation, the UK is afraid of offending Muslims by giving the Israelis extra security, because what will happen is the migrant population or the Muslim leaders will say, "What, you think we're going to attack the Israelis?" And well, no, of course not. Why would you attack the Israelis? You're just a bunch of fun-loving, plush toy Muslim migrants. So the trap here is that the UK doesn't want to really put forth the effort to protect these Israelis. And at the same time, part of this is also they don't want to offend the Muslims by giving more protection to the Israelis at this soccer event, because then there's this insinuation that somehow the migrants are violent. I mean, it's a crazy world, people. And that's happening. Yeah. We're going to go to Washington, D.C. after this, because Zelensky is at the White House. He's with the Trump administration cabinet, trying to talk out this peace deal. So we'll go back there. At least he's not begging for money again, I guess, All right. Happy Fancy Friday, everybody. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about the need to sleep. Better sleep and better life. That's what it's all about. And I will tell you, Dr. Ojal is super good at this. He is really just amazing. He and his team are super good at a variety of different sleep problems, okay? So we've got the situation regarding sleep apnea, and I've told you a lot about that this week. It is resolvable, and it really needs to be for peace at your house, and for peace of mind with you, because if you're not sleeping, it has all kinds of health ramifications for you, and you really aren't sleeping. You're snoring, but you're not really sleeping. Dr. Ojal will walk you through that. Insomnia is another factor. Too many people seemingly just try to, drink themselves to sleep or take sleep medicine or that kind of thing. Don't do that. You need to develop better habits that will relax you and get you into a mode where you're going to get a good night's sleep. Restless leg syndrome, even arm syndrome is another story. Sometimes people literally are just woken up by their own bodies, and it's a problem that can be resolved, and Dr. Ojal and his team will help you do that. Pediatric sleep problems they're super good at, so they can walk you through all of that at ClaytonSleep.com. They have the clinics, or you can just simply choose to go the take-home apparatus way, and whatever it needs, you take it home. But they will help you either way. Better sleep, better life, ClaytonSleep.com.
I just checked the events planned at Lit Cigar Lounge, so I'm planning a lot of time there. Top of the line cigars, premium whiskey. Check out litstl.com and join me. Hey, and if we get hungry, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, just a few doors down. We can order from the menu, be at our table within minutes. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley and Lit Cigar Lounge, litstl.com.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serving St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
This is Elizabeth Kaiser. If you're a self-insured employer with a minimum of 200 plan members, listen up, because we've only got until December 31st. There's $600 billion on the table for you from a historic settlement agreement. Meet Bill Schmaltz.
Thank you, Elizabeth. The program's called Pharmaceutical Industry Overcharging Recovery Program. The money is available. It's already been litigated. You just need to ask for it. I'm going to help you get that money, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples. 200 members on the plan, $840K, 500 members, $2.1 million, 4.2 million with 1,000, and it keeps going up. You can contact me at bill@ecgins.com. The more people you have on your plan, the more recovery money you're entitled to. The money's there. There's nothing you have to do other than fill out paperwork, contact me, bill@ecgins.com, and we'll help you get that. bill@ecgins.com.
That's bill@ecgins.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Day 16 of the Schumer shutdown. We'll speak with Congressman Dr. Bob Onder about what it will take for Dems to open the government back up.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
If the trials in here are really getting you down.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Fancy Friday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Let's go to Washington, to the White House really quickly, because once again, it's like, I don't understand why Zelensky, and by the way, just keep in mind, I have no respect for him. So just if you're expecting me to somehow have respect for him or anything related to Ukraine, except for the people, it's not going to happen. So I'm not one of those people. And I don't need to qualify by going, yeah, but Putin's a bad guy, because we all know that, right? So we all understand that. But you could just turn it down for just a second. So, but you know, Zelensky, why do you still have to come in your pajamas to these events? I still don't understand that. Like, why do you need to come in your Garanimals outfit? And then you have that big fat guy next to you. He doesn't dress up either. It's kind of like, dude, I mean, you're coming and you're begging for weapons and peace and all this stuff, and you can't like dress even remotely appropriately? I don't know. That's crazy. Okay, yes, let's go up there and see what's going on. President Trump is speaking.
We have a lot of different weapons. And, you know, I have an obligation also, though, to make sure that we're completely stocked up as a country, because you never know what's going to happen in war and peace, right? You never know what's going to happen. So we're going to be talking about tomahawks, and would much rather have them not need tomahawks, would much rather have the war be over, to be honest, because, you know, we're in it to get the war over. We're selling a lot of different types of weapon, as you know, to the European Union. We're not in it for that. We're in it to get it over. We're losing thousands of people a week, thousands of people, Russian, Ukrainian, and mostly soldiers. I mean, mostly soldiers. But we're in it to see that end. And if we can end quickly, and I think we can. I mean, I had a very good talk yesterday. We're going to be talking about it. But I had a very productive talk yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. But the war in the Middle East was far more complicated. We got that one done. And I think we have a good chance. I think President Zelensky wants it done, and I think President Putin wants it done. Now all they have to do is get along a little bit.
And the thing that I would prefer, and I don't really know the mechanisms of this, but I don't know why, since we have sent here's what I don't understand. And it's like, it's weird because we seemingly have forgotten about a lot of things. And we've forgotten that Zelensky can't account for millions and millions of dollars that we gave him. He can't account for it. And the aside from the money we already sent him, which is in a couple billion, is it 1.5 billion, something like that? And he admitted he lost millions of dollars. He can't account for millions of dollars. So I don't really understand why here he is at the White House. Of course, even given all that, given the abuse of the dollars that we sent him, it's not just that he can't even bother dressing properly, but he's now asking for weapons that we ought to be selling him. We ought to make him pay for them. That way, maybe we can get some of the money back that we're wasting on the Democrat plush toy known as Ukraine. And so maybe we should make him pay for it. I don't know. President Trump is speaking again. I want to let him go.
Because of the fact that we have tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be in a very weak position.
This is about the Middle East thing. Why can't you do Ukraine and Russia if you did Middle East?
Hundreds of billions of dollars, not only from China, but from others. And China wants to talk, and we like talking to China. So we have a very good relationship, and we're going to be meeting in South Korea a couple of weeks. And I just got back from a long trip. I'm going on another long trip. And Scott, do you want to say a few words on that, please?
Yes, sir. So the entire relationship stems from the great respect that the two leaders have for each other. China did a substantial.
Okay, so anyway, they're talking about one of the questions was thank you, Dave. You don't have to say I suck. You don't have to say that, but it's okay. I'm aware of your attitude. 300 billion to Ukraine and 50 billion missing. Okay, I get it. But regardless, the reality is the money is gone, and we ought to make them. We ought to make Ukraine pay for it. Pay for the weapons we give them. Nothing should be sent over there for free. And if Zelensky doesn't like it, then he can lose his country. Who cares? Because I'm not one of those people who are willing to. I mean, hell, haven't we throughout the entirety of this world and our history not only given so much blood, but also given so much treasure? I mean, you've got people in this country who are starving. You got veterans who are homeless. They still haven't rebuilt St. Louis after the tornadoes, and we're sending money to this guy and those people. I don't understand it, and I don't really buy this idea that somehow, well, it's because we're leaders of the free world. It's like, well, let somebody else be leaders of the free world. Let's just take care of our own and do what we need to do to make America great again. This isn't going to make America great again. Sorry to say. On this fancy Friday, it's Common Sense Radio.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. Psst. Want to hear the best kept secret in St. Louis? Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares. According to our customers, we have the best St. Louis style pizza anywhere, and we can't disagree. Dine in, pickup, or delivery in St. Peters, St. Charles, Lake St. Louis on Fort Trail, and the original Stefanina's in O'Fallon on Veterans Memorial Parkway. Check us out at stepspizza.com. Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares.
Why are you going to work? It's Sunday.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL. JC's Sunday Showgram.
I'll tell you what it was like backstage at the filming of the Chuck Berry movie, Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll, back in '86. And how come all these guys on radio and TV that call themselves Cardinal Insiders didn't have the real Mike Schultz story until this week? Oh, brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on newstalkstl.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. As we head into another weekend with the federal government still shut down, U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson is very concerned that no end is in sight due to Democrats in the Senate. On the Salem Media News program this week on Capitol Hill with Tony Perkins, the Louisiana Republican says this is a very dark day for federal workers.
Certainly for federal employees and civilian contractors and people like our troops and our Border Patrol officers and TSA agents and air traffic controllers and all the rest of the federal workforce, because the Democrats in the Senate have now voted for the 11th time to keep the government closed. And to add insult to injury, yesterday they voted to reject a standalone bill to fund our nation's defense and pay our troops. It is absolutely outrageous to us.
Speaker Johnson's full interview will be broadcast when This Week on Capitol Hill airs Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the Salem News Channel. Hungary's leader says his country is the ideal site for talks between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin about the war in Ukraine. Here's correspondent Karen Chamis.
Speaking to state radio on Friday, Prime Minister Viktor Orban celebrated Hungary's status as the host of upcoming talks between President Donald Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin. Orban is a close Trump ally and considered Putin's closest partner in the European Union. He suggested that one main factor Budapest was chosen as the site of talks was his long-standing opposition to the West supplying Ukraine with military and financial aid for its defense against Russia's invasion. I'm Karen Chamas.
A date for that sit-down has not been set, but President Trump has suggested it could happen in about 2 weeks' time. Investors appear happy today on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average right now up by about 220 points. The NASDAQ is up by 80. The S&P 500 up about 25. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, it's Mike Gallagher, host of The Mike Gallagher Show. I don't mess around when it comes to saving your money. Right now, rates have dropped to the lowest level in over a year and a half. That means if you bought your home or refinanced in the last 3 years, you could be saving hundreds of dollars every month. Lower your rate, lower your monthly payment, even kick that pesky PMI to the curb. And get this, you can skip 2 full months of mortgage payments. But that's not all. Fellowship Home Loans just rolled out something incredible. Their very own HELOC and lines of credit. Approval in just 5 minutes. Money in your account in as little as 4 days. It's the easiest system you've ever used. You can do it yourself online. Whether you want to pay off bills, tackle a home project, cover education, or even a wedding, Fellowship Home Loans makes it simple to leverage the money that's already sitting in your house. Just go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending guided by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Cloudy skies for the most part today. A couple of peaks of sunshine here and there. It's going to be warm with a high up into the mid 80s, about 84 degrees in St. Louis. But big changes coming. 60s tonight, cloudy to start early morning, but watch for rain moving in from the west, arriving into the metro area around midday or so. And some strong thunderstorms possible during the afternoon on Saturday and into the early evening hours. That rain moves out. Temperatures will be in the 70s during the day on Saturday, but Sunday we're in the 60s and blustery. It's going to feel a lot like autumn. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Looking for the best selection of firearms in the St. Louis region? Drive to Osage County Guns. Conveniently located off I-70, just 25 minutes from St. Charles. We've got thousands of guns in stock, the largest selection of handguns, rifles, and shotguns around. Trade in or sell your old guns for cash and shop our wide variety of premium Winchester ammunition made right here in the USA. Visit us online at ocgmo.com, or better yet, make the drive to Osage County Guns and see why we're the St. Louis region's favorite.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine in or carry out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL, live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Fancy Friday to all of you and yours. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, Ashlyn right over there. And well, it looks like the party's over, people. It's going to be fall this weekend. Going to have to grow up here. I know a lot of you are happy because people can't wait to wear their sweaters and things like that. Had their pumpkin cider beer and all that other stuff. A fire out in the yard. And I know that's cool. I get used to that. And I didn't think it was funny. I felt sorry for the people who, since it was October, they were insisting on wearing their pullovers, even though it was 85 degrees. They were like, well, it's October. I must wear my pullover. I'm like, you must be sweating like a pig. And I blame those people for egging fall on, because they were inviting fall to come when it wasn't here. And so I believe that they poisoned the well for all of us summer-loving people. Right, Julie? Yeah. All right. It was a great weekend last weekend with Doug Giles here with the Price of Freedom dinner and everything else. It was great to be able to hang out with him. And after the event, he and I went for pizza, fried pickles, and cigars. And dude, I still have those fried pickles, and I actually had one last night. So it's good.
Jamie, yeah, they'll probably still be around in the year 2525.
I know, man. It's like they were really good. The pizza's still there too. So I leave things in the fridge for months on end. But it was a fun time, and people really loved your speech and your presentation. And then Doug sent me, and it was about 40 minutes long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post that on my page over the weekend, kind of on the anniversary of the Price of Freedom dinner. A presentation that Doug made in as a pastor, which was somewhat similar. I mean, he shortened the one the other night a little bit, but it was somewhat similar. But because I asked him, I said, did you do this in some other formulation? He goes, oh yeah, and he sent it to me. So thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man. It was a great evening and incredible feedback. And so I had this guy come up to me and he said, dude, I've never heard anybody preach like that in my life.
Yeah.
He said, I haven't been to church in decades. He said, we can't find, he said in that area, he hadn't been able to find, any church that's worth its salt. Most of them are woke or politically correct. And so, that's I know that there's a revival afoot in the wake of Charlie's death. But, by and large, prior to that, especially during COVID, there's what Amos says in Amos 8, verse 11, there's a famine for the word of God. People are starving. And, they want spiritual meat, and they don't want, pablum or Melba toast. And I'm afraid, Jamie, that there needs to be a recall like Detroit used to do to crappy cars. There needs to be a recall of pastors and worship leaders. And we need some, that are Bible-based, and they have this thing called big cojones, because we need boldness in this day and age.
Yeah. And, it's interesting, too, because we were having a conversation with a guy before the event outside, and he had talked about, religion being somewhat of a turnoff, whatever. And then I kind of said, you might mean organized religion, because a lot of people are kind of conflating those two concepts, and it's drawing them away from even reading the Bible or even reading scripture, because they're like, well, I'm not into religion. It's like, well, no, you're into religion. You're just not into organized religion.
Yeah. And I agree, with nobody rags on organized religion more than I do.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people can use that as a cudgel. So, it's like the church is full of hypocrites. Like,
Yeah.
There's no perfect church, quack. And if you find one, don't join it, because you'll ruin it, because we're all imperfect. But what I'm talking about is a serious Bible-based, just good meat and potato type stuff. And it's not, like I said earlier, it's not TED Talks. It's not warm and fuzzy. You're not trying to be winsome. I got an imagination. I'm an artist. I'm an author. And man, when I read the scripture and I see the apostles and the prophets and the warriors and the wild men and the great, biblical badass women of the Bible, I don't see these little tinker pots, like I see in any church anywhere in America.
Yeah.
I see people that upset the planet. And these people, not pearl clutching, wearing little, doilies on top of their head. We've morphed these incredible characters, Jamie, into Enid Strick, Dana Carvey church ladies, or Mr. Rogers. And you can't tell me, through the weight of the scripture, that the heroes and the heroines of the Bible were these well-behaved, nice guys and girls, man. They killed them for a reason,
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that what you're talking about is really interesting, because I really know people, and many of them who listen to the show, who are very, very faithful people. I mean, I could, but who don't necessarily go to church necessarily, but their church is really maybe every morning, where they pick up a book of Psalms and read the Psalms, what have you. I know I have a friend, Julie, who listens to the show and is listening right now, who I could run something by her that might be scripture related or whatever. And while she doesn't associate necessarily with like a brick and mortar church, she'll send something back to me. She'll send something. She knows all of that very well. And if we could just find some place, and I think some people just don't always have those associations. And it sounds to me like that's the ideal place to have these kinds of is don't do it individually, but also don't hesitate to gather,
Yeah, it's I was at a hunting camp in deep West Texas, and one of the guides, great dude, love him. He was like, my relationship with God is personal. It's like, no, it's not. That's not it. It's also corporal. I mean, we're part of a body. You can't be the Lone Ranger Christian out there winging it. It says, two are better than one. The threefold cord is not easily broken. We need each other, man. We're Christ created a body of believers, Jew, Greek, male, female, bondmen, free. I mean, and in this collective, each member of the body, each joint supplies. There's things, Jamie, that you bring to the table that when we hang out, I get elevated in me, and I guarantee I got a thunk on me that also transfers to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully the good stuff, not the bad stuff. And so, there's that synthesis, we gathered together like that I tell people all the time. It's like, okay, look, church sucks, but that's it in the fallen world. Here's what's going to be even worse for you. You isolate yourself and you don't join together with other believers, you're going to turn into Ted Kaczynski. And woe to you when you fall, not if you fall, because you don't have anybody there to pick your dumb ass up.
Yeah. It's interesting too, especially just with the goings on of late. And it's kind of hard to, because you never want to be misunderstood and somehow insinuating that, for instance, God hands down indictments to John Bolton or things like that. But there's something, it seems like to a certain degree, as much as there seems to be some chaos, it seems like the world is righting itself in some ways. And I'm sure, and I do believe that's God driven, even though I don't believe that he, is doing the paperwork, so to speak. But I feel like the world is kind of righting itself right now.
Yeah, that's why I'm how can I put this? I'm such an intellectual donkey, or such a smartass to the doom and gloomers in particular, especially within the church, because they're like, well, it's never been this bad before ever. And it's like, what? Yeah, it has. This is not unique. I mean, there are certain things with information flow and technology that are obviously unique to our time period. But if you were born in 1900 and died in 1985, you saw a lot of crap go down on this planet, and tens of millions of people, just waxed in war and slaughtered and murdered, and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it has been bad. And just because we're going through some rough patches right now, look at what Trump's doing for our country. It's not perfect, but it beats the crap out of what Kamala would have done to this nation. And it's like, well, Charlie got murdered. That's a sign of the end of the world. Well, yesterday at Oklahoma State University, there were 6,000 college students worshiping God. That ain't happened in many, many moons. And Russell Brand, this hedonistic, womanizing drug sponge, is up there at OSU preaching the gospel, yesterday. This is weird. Tucker is forthright, in his faith. I've been watching him for 30 years. He's never been that.
Yeah.
And you're seeing again these massive moves on campus. Bible sales are up 50% from last year.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Everybody's like, well, nobody reads the Bible anymore. The devil, Antichrist. Oh, it's the end of the world as we know it. And it's like, or it could be the beginning of a Reformation, a Renaissance, holy revolution. So I'm the eternal optimist. I'm hopeful. And I don't, I know the devil is out there, but you know what? Jesus has all power and authority. He can crush him, and he did at his death, burial, and resurrection. We've got 2/3 of the holy angels on our side, Jamie. We serve the Creator. Satan's a creation, and he's got 1/3 of the angels. That's some easy math, buddy. We win in time and eternity.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And, I think that in the end, if we just simply, if you look at the person says we've never had this bad, I can't even imagine what it had to be like even in the 60s, where in 10 years, you're in this this meat grinding war. You lose a president, you lose a civil rights activist, you lose a presidential candidate to assassination and murder. I mean, I just can't imagine us being able to tolerate that in this modern day. Maybe we could, but
Yeah, again, and this is for the pastors and priests out there. You keep painting a gloomy picture about the church and a gloomy picture about our nation and the world, then you're going to cause your congregation to lose this thing called hope. And there's a scripture in Proverbs 13:12. It says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick." So if you push hope away, and it's like, well, we hope, that the rapture is going to happen. Well, what if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't?
Yeah.
I've lived through so many times when they said, Jesus is coming back tomorrow. Guess what? He didn't. and all the people who prognosticated look like idiots. So when you defer hope in the congregant's heart, Solomon says it makes their heart sick. And that word sick means effeminate. So if you want an anemic, effeminate, pathetic church, then take hope from them. If you want a strong, powerful, gangster, Holy Ghost militant church, then infuse them with hope through the scripture.
yeah, and I was thinking while you were saying that about the pastors and things, I still am trying to process how to react as a Catholic, for instance, to the Catholic Church under the last Pope, literally purposely pitting Catholics against Catholics. And I'm not quite sure there's any place in God's world where that is even remotely acceptable. And what I'm talking about is, and we talked a little bit about this with, because we were standing actually on the grounds of a Catholic church, talking to this guy about the Latin Mass, which was a more old school view of the Mass, old school treatment of the Mass. So it was in Latin, and I used to go to it because, and there were a lot of young people at this Latin Mass, and it was just a different, more, I think, contemplative type of Mass than a normal, average, everyday one. And the priest would have his back to you because the priest actually is pointing towards the altar. It's not that the priest has his back to you. But anyway, the Pope at the time, and even the bishop here in St. Louis and bishops all over the country, canceled Latin Masses. And created enemies of people attending Catholic Latin Mass, and I can't process that in my mind to be anything but demonic. So,
yeah, well, me, I'm a Reformed Protestant to the core. I don't get it. I don't get the whole Catholic Church, period. And but that's just me. I'm a redneck. And I read too much Martin Luther and John Calvin.
Yeah.
And John Knox. Yet, what just as an outsider looking in, it's funny is that here the former Pope craps on the Latin Mass. In the meantime, in between time, he's green lighting all the gay and LGBTQ crap. What else is he doing? He's, part of the Green New Deal and all the socialist garbage he's welcoming and standing behind. I think they just created some place inside Vatican City for Islam, So I don't understand it, man. The robes and the hats and the wands and the Elvis costumes. I just see Jesus as a regular blue collar worker that didn't have all the pomp and circumstance. Matter of fact, when he rode into Jerusalem, he got a young donkey, to ride in on. And there was no limousine service. There was no, black Uber. There's none of that. And I don't know how it went from 12 itinerant ex-fishermen who looked like the crew of Deadliest Catch to a 30-year-old rebel from Galilee to all of this opulent wealth and costumes, and I just.
Well,
but again, Jamie, that's just me. I'm the iconoclast. God has gifted me with the spirit of a gadfly, and that's what I do.
Yeah, I remember. Well, I don't remember, but I know that, for instance, when he did ride in on the donkey, the Romans and the Pharisees used that against him and insinuated because he didn't ride in on a horse, a white horse or whatever, something warlike, that he was really not a king of sorts, that he was not a savior or a person who was going to have any impact. And so they tried to breed so much mistrust among the Jewish people, which was a pivotal point that helped pave the way ultimately for his execution, his crucifixion. So they used that shamefully used that donkey against him.
Yeah, but what's funny is that, and they didn't know it because they're ignorant of the scripture, is that by riding in on a donkey, he fulfilled another biblical prophecy.
Yeah.
And again, blind guides of the blind. But I think it's funny that he sent a couple of his boys to go steal that donkey to ride in on Jerusalem. Hey, there's a donkey.
Yeah.
It's going to be tied over there by Shlomo's house. And here's the thing, go ahead and get it. If anybody, catches you, say, this is for the master, and we'll bring it back.
We'll bring it back. And I know this is probably, I don't mean to be too flip about it, but is there anything that is related to anything that is recorded that the donkey was returned or whatever happened to the donkey?
Will theologians postulate, Jamie, that in the year AD 73.5? No, I have no clue, man.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't care either.
They probably shot it and ate it, for barbecue.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's not something I really am concerned about, really. All right, man, real quickly, I don't know. I'm going to cover this in the next segment here, but, there's this big thing now. The new thing now for the left and even some so-called conservatives is they've gone from defending like murderers, rapists, and wife beaters to now defending drug boaters in a boat full of fentanyl. I'm like, is there any bad thing that you will not align yourself with? Crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the number of deaths that poison has brought, especially in the last 4 be damned years of Biden, and now all of a sudden, again, Trump could cure cancer, and he's a bad guy for putting pharmaceutical and doctors out of business. Trump, he drinks red wine with fish. All of a sudden, he's the Antichrist. He wears white after Labor Day. He's the worst person ever.
Yeah.
And it just, all this kind of stuff, and we talked about it this past weekend, it serves our purpose so well as people with traditional values and who love the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and Declaration of Independence, because they, by their own volition, they peel the mask off themselves and they showed themselves as what truly horrible and stupid and untenable critters they are.
Yeah, and the thing about this, the drug scourge and the deaths, this has been going on for more than 30 years, and I have. It's a matter of fact for me, because I told people yesterday, when my son was about 10 years old, so maybe it's been going on about 25 years, whatever. About 10 years old, I coached his baseball team, his little league baseball team. And out of the 9-10 guys that were on the team, 4 died of drug overdoses in high school and in their basements. 4 of them. So almost half the baseball team was dead by the time graduation came around because of a drug overdose. And so this has been killing our kids for 30 years now. And, my son's buddy from Iraq, drugs killed him too. And it's just like, wow, it's crazy. So this has been going on a long time.
Yeah, Nancy Reagan started the big war, didn't she? And Trump is now he's blowing them out of the water in their little go fast boats.
Yeah.
And, people are like, well, he doesn't have authorization from Congress. Like, listen, these guys are poisoning our population. I don't understand, international maritime law and how you go about stopping them from doing it. But I got to say, man, I don't lose sleep over it at all. Blow them up.
Yeah, I don't either, because I do believe that this is in defense of our country against something that is being imported here as a weapon against the citizens. I just don't see how that is confusing to people in any way, shape, or form. But you never know. All right, brother. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and let us know what's hot, man. What's going on in terms of books, art, everything else that people would be thinking about for Christmas time. Because I know it's October, but it is, Christmas always comes really quickly, and people don't realize there's lots of stuff out there, especially in Doug's cabinet, that is a great gift.
Yeah, the art stuff, man. I'm seeing too many boring walls, man, online and at people's homes. You've got to spice up that boring wall. And I've got some incredible art. I've got my Trump series. I've got my Biblical Badass collection. I've got great cowboy and Indian stuff if you're into Southwestern art, and some glorious renderings of African animals. I've spent 23 trips over in the Dark Continent, and it definitely left a mark on me. So I marked a bunch of canvases with it. And get great art, man. If life imitates art, don't get lame ass art. If you want to be, if you want to be a Tinkerpot, then get Precious Moments figurines. If you want to go out, screaming for vengeance, I got some Braveheart paintings that'll light wet wood.
Oh, nice. All right, man. We're good. And DougJiles.art is where everybody needs to go, right? DougJiles.art.
Yep, and the .org is it's got all my sermons, all my books, links to all the stuff that we got cranking over here.
All right, sounds good, man. Hey, again, thanks for the companionship last weekend. It was great, and always love having you on the air on Friday. So, hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, brother.
Yeah, buddy. Stay
Right.
ready,
I
James.
certainly will. That is the great Doug Giles. So, yeah, this drug boat thing. There's a big to-do at the Defense Department today, and it includes a resignation. So, I think otherwise known as thinning the herd. So, we'll follow up on that. This is Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch, a fancy Friday, the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, Woods Basement Systems, JamieLovesWoods.com is the place you need to be, because you're going to be able to make sure that you have no longer a flooding problem, a water in your basement problem, what have you. It is super annoying to suddenly have to do all of that when it rains. Like this weekend, are you dreading? It's going to be pretty bad this weekend, rain-wise, storm-wise on Saturday. Are you dreading this weekend? Because you know there's going to be water in the basement, and you know you're going to have to pull up the carpet again or what have you. Get it fixed. Get peace of mind. And people sometimes, they're at work and it's pouring down rain, and they know when they get home they're going to have to wet vac instead of have a martini. And that's not nice. That's not good. So you need to make sure that everything is sealed up. Woods Basement Systems has done 2 different jobs for me in 2 different homes, and they do a great job. As you know, as a real estate agent, I get into a lot of homes. I've seen a lot of their work. There's some pumps, things like that they put in, and I also look at homes and they have a basement that has obviously had water in it, and people will run away from your home if you're selling it and a water problem exists. That is not going to happen. So make sure you get it done. JamieLovesWoods.com. They also have added a new layer of expertise, and that is in leveling concrete. So if you have a driveway or steps or a patio, whatever that is cattywampus, then you can make sure Woods takes care of that, straightens it out for you, and will level it for you. JamieLovesWoods.com. JamieLovesWoods.com.
This is Larry Connors, and my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is a Philly cheesesteak with peppers, sweet peppers, but sometimes hot peppers. I love Capriati's, and so will you.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at midnight in Rock Hill.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpets sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I saw the light, I've been baptized by the fire in your touch and the flame in your eyes. I'm born to love again, I'm a brand new man.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jimmy Allman here, Ashlyn there, and it's Fancy Friday. What can I say? Got my beef jerky from 80 Gun Smokehouse Market.
That's all changed now. You turn my life around.
See how that looks? It feels even better because it's really nice and soft. And it's... Sorry, Mr. Dunn, I'm going to put you down just a little bit. But it's made out of flank steak. Juicy. You see. I feel like I'm selling, you know how when they, and please don't think I'm comparing this to dog food, but it reminds me of the dog food commercials, you know, where they would take the dog food and they would poke it with a fork because they wanted to make it look good to you, not your dog. So if you're like, oh man, that looks good, then you're going to buy it for your dog. You can give a dog this and probably chew for 5 days, but still, this is good stuff. The Smokehouse Market is really great. I haven't been there in so long, but it just smells good, and the atmosphere is so warm. And I'm going to get them to sponsor the show. That's what I'm going to do. Any Gun Smokehouse Market, proud sponsor of free, common sense, conservative radio. That's what I'm going to do. Always thinking. All right, so here's what happened at the Pentagon. And this was today, and so we got this clown. He's a top U.S. commander for Latin America. He's being a big fat baby. Navy Admiral Alvin Halsey, the head of the U.S. Command in Central America, announced on Thursday that he would leave his post in December, 2 years before his 3-year contract expires. At the time of his resignation, the admiral had been overseeing the strikes against Venezuelan cartel boats in the Caribbean. And apparently this guy, he didn't elaborate on why he was quitting. But the New York Times has indicated that the bombings of these cartel boats in Venezuela played a role. And no one has been able to tell me, you know, I get it. Like people like and because Judge Napolitano is overseas, he could not be on the show with me today. But I understand that there are some people who will talk about so-called extrajudicial punishment. And that means that you're meting out some punishment or sentence without any kind of adjudication of said particular crime or punishment, what have you. And so it's very sensitive sometimes. And in the Philippines, I remember they liked this guy in the Philippines. I can't remember his name because he would order his people to go around and kill drug dealers on the street. That is an extrajudicial killing, even though, of course, it made some people happy. But that is an extrajudicial killing that wouldn't be defensible here in the United States of America, because these were actual Filipino citizens who were being offed in the street without a trial. So they were the drug dealers. That isn't what's happening here. I don't know. I can't figure out what it is about a boat filled with criminals carrying a weapon aimed for the United States of America. I can't figure out what the trouble is with us wiping them out in defense of this country. I just don't understand what this is. So are we supposed to wait for them to come here with their drugs and arrest them and then have a trial and all this kind of stuff when we know what's on the boat? When we could provide receipts about what's on the boat? I can't figure out what the problem is with that. So anyway, Hegseth responded with a classy post. So he didn't kind of nail the guy or punk the guy out or whatever. He just said, on behalf of the Department of War, we extend our deepest gratitude to Admiral Allman Report for his more than 37 years of distinguished service to our nation. And that was pretty much it. And so I think that was a good response from Pete Hegseth on this. And I think it avoids the whole possibility, perhaps, that this will be a thing in the coming days. And again, this guy might do interviews, and you never know what happens in a situation like this where he comes. He's like a whistleblower of sorts, and he's interviewed by 60 Minutes. I mean, there's a possibility that'll happen, but the reality is most Americans see this as being acceptable in defense of this country. And especially if you ask any Americans who ever have lost their children to imported drugs, and they will tell you too the same thing. It's exactly why even with ICE, it's the same mentality. These people are here illegally. Many of them already have criminal behavior behind them, aside from the criminal behavior of illegal entry into the United States. And ICE doesn't need to have a warrant to arrest them. And they don't need to have paperwork necessarily to arrest them. All they need is the paperwork, or the lack of paperwork, showing they did not come here legally. And of course, the paperwork showing the record of the crimes they have committed. By the way, John Bolton, if you're feeling sorry for him now, going back to Defense Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, listen to what he had to say. This was back in August.
Do you believe Hegseth should still be on the job?
No, I think he should resign for his own safety's sake, if nothing else. This is a critical time for the American military. We understand the Trump administration.
So you guys John Bolton's a bad person. And when you say that he should resign for his own safety's sake, that's a veiled threat. And so tying all this Defense Department, War Department stuff and John Bolton stuff together, it's a good day. creative retribution, but it's not really retribution when you've got the goods, John Bolton and beyond. So you guys know what's happening here in Virginia? I think it's confusing to a lot of you, but it kind of became a thing and has become a thing now that we have everybody together. I was confused at first. It's like, what's Jay Jones running for? Who's Spanberger? What the heck's going on? So we're going to kind of boil that down a little bit. And Hakeem has another temper tantrum. All that straight ahead.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are, and we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you about the barn. I had such a great time there last Thursday at the witches party. Met a lot of hugely wonderful people. It's the barn there, right there in Columbia, Illinois. And so they have things. This is what they do all the time. I put the video up on my Facebook page too, if you want to go back to Thursday and see what it's like to be there on the patio, inside, hugely cozy. It's a building that has been there since 1856 or something like that. And was redesigned by Steve and the crew and looks beautiful. It's a great bar. The bartenders, Amy and Sophie, are like wonderful people, and their drinks are great. The atmosphere is cool, and they always have these little fun little events. They have music there all the time. But this witches contest was really cool. So Ethan Way and I were judges of the witches contest. So we had to wander around and pick people out and reward them with their prizes. But it was just so much fun to be there, and I can't wait to go back. They have this gigantic patio, which is really super nice, very, very intimate patio, and they have a loft area that is like a banquet area. You can rent that out if you want for birthday parties, retirement parties, even wedding receptions, whatever it happens to be. And then, that, of course, the windows and the doors go all the way out to a beautiful balcony overlooking the patio. They also have a gaming area, which is really cool. So that is where you can do, some of the poker stuff and things. It's kind of like slot machines, those kinds of things like that. And then, of course, they have contests. Their multitude of different tequilas. I think they have like 30 different tequilas there. Same thing with the gins. Same thing with the vodkas, and then, of course, their bourbon selection is beyond crazy large. It's really very, very cool. So you're going to love it at the barn. They're proud sponsors of free common sense conservative radio. It's the barn right there in beautiful Columbia, Illinois.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint, formulated to outsmart the elements. Rain or shine, sleet or snow, mold or mildew. Our home exterior coatings intelligently designed to stand up to Mother Nature. Call 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
I remind you, with Larry Connors USA, you always get news, analysis, opinion, and education.
Larry Connors USA.
Now, weeknights 6 until 8
on News Talk STL.
Girl who knows what's best. I want a girl with shoes that cut and eyes that burn like cigarettes. I want a girl with the right allocations, who is fast and thorough and sharp as a tack. She's playing with her jewelry, she's putting up her hair, she's touring the facility and picking up slack. I want a
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. Happy Fancy Friday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. So I'm getting the idea that that Hakeem Jeffries has a big chip on his shoulder. And it's really kind of getting fun to provoke him and his bad temper. It's really kind of fun. You know, you always zero in on people like that, right? Sometimes. Yeah. It's you know, so you can imagine, like, he's got a big chip on his shoulder. Like, you can tell he's like really super insecure. And so you can F with him really easily and he'll go and he'll implode. So, and of course, you guys, I don't need to really explain this in detail, but you got to imagine that especially someone like Caroline Leavitt will piss Hakeem Jeffries off. So you know what I mean by that. So she had this to say about the Democrat Party. And I think Caroline Leavitt is really great. I mean, she's so good. And if I'm not mistaken, I thought she was like 27 or 28. I mean, it's really just miraculous how well put together she is. I mean, I'm obviously it's not like 27 or 28-year-olds aren't well put together, you know what I mean? But what I'm saying is she's just really, especially in a cesspool of dinosaur-like cynics and people like that, she's been a remarkable presentation for the administration. Because you remember when 28. Thank you, dear. Thank you, Ashlyn. So you can remember when Sean Spicer, is that who it was? Yeah. Like, he was always kind of, and maybe it's because he was a guy and he just kind of always looked a little sloppy, and but he'd always like get all flustered and everything, and it made you feel like, oh, dude, you need a little more poise when you're in that room. I realize it's frustrating for you because of the news media, but Caroline Leavitt proves you can have poise even when you are standing in front of a bunch of snakes. So anyway, here's her being interviewed about the Democrat Party.
Proved that the Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world.
Yeah. I mean, that takes some guts to say that, especially because you'd think, well, maybe she's trying to be diplomatic, whatever. And she's not trying to be diplomatic at all, because I think those days ought to be over, especially with the political terrorists like the Democrat Party and Hakeem Jeffries. And she's absolutely right. And you could even add to the list of associations that the Democrat Party have, and how much it is alienating normal, average, everyday people. I mean, it is talking itself out of existence. It's amazing to see. As I said the other day, it's incredible how you could just simply stand by and watch a very consequential, and some say a provocative president with very, very assertive ideas, and you can critique them and do whatever. Instead of dealing with whatever issues you have with the president, you decide you're going to temper tantrum because you lost the election, and you're going to be so broken that you're going to start associating with the Lost Boys. it's kind of like you're grabbing on to some of the worst people and aspects of society. You're defending cartel members. You're defending Hamas. You're defending murderous illegal aliens. You're opposing figuring out a way to pay our soldiers. You're advocating for rioting against federal law enforcement agents. I mean, you're even back in the day, hell, you're even way further to the left than the party that existed in 2021. When you guys actually stood by the Capitol Police and talked about how badass you were because you're pro law enforcement, it's like, wow. And that's how self-loathing the Democrats are, because it's like they have all wandered in to a crack house where they feel like they belong. That's really weird. Anyway, so she says that. And then, of course, because Hakeem Jeffries is very, very insecure and he's a hothead and he's probably racist on top of it, he goes berserko over what Caroline Leavitt says.
And then you got Caroline Leavitt, who's sick. She's out of control. And I'm not sure whether she's just demented, ignorant, a stone cold liar, or all of the above. But the notion that an official White House spokesperson would say that the Democratic Party consists of terrorists, violent criminals, and undocumented immigrants, this makes no sense.
Yeah. And then the reality is it makes all the sense in the world, and of course drove him nuts. And I don't really have a lot of love lost for the Democrat Party, but man, if you guys aren't even going to help yourself, what is going on here? I mean, you're not even making any effort to realign yourself with anything related to common sense. Like you're not even trying. And at this point, I mean, because it's almost like you've given up, You're not cutting your hair anymore. You're not brushing your teeth. You're not even getting out of your pajamas, Democrat Party. You're not doing anything. You're getting fat. You're drinking and smoking too much. You've really let yourself go. I'm disappointed in you. But that's just the way it is. I hate to be so nasty. I was looking during a period of time because sometimes I'm like, because, I didn't really, I went off on Zelensky and his clothing and stuff. And then I looked at him while he was on the thing, and, well, he is kind of a little cute little plush toy guy. He's tiny, and I don't know. I shouldn't be doing this right now because why am I apologizing for things that I said earlier like that? I didn't apologize. I just felt bad because I have a soul, Can't be, mean all the time. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Sweater weather. Ashland, thank you so much for everything. It's been a great week. You guys, thank you for listening to the show. I had such a fun time with you. I love this time of day. It's a 3 martini lunch. We just have a ton of fun and just talk in the real. I hope you guys have a wonderful and blessed weekend. Coming up next, it's Tony Colombo and Colombo and Company. This is News Talk STL.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management